Ask the Mayor. Your chance to ask the Mayor of Weymouth questions about the town and or anything else that you have concerns about. Ask the Mayor is pre-recorded. And now, Ask the Mayor with Bob Hedlund.
Well, welcome back to another well-dressed episode of Ask the Mayor. I'm your citizen advocate, Jim Melody, wearing my spring finest, and we have the very well-attired Mayor of Weymouth wearing a suit coat today, Robert Hedlund. How are you today?
Do they still make Izods?
Not in my size. I have to take two mediums and I sew them together. I'm bringing these out of the closet because, you know, I've been in my reduction plan and I'm able to fit into some things that I previously may have.
So something you bought in the 80s now fits.
Exactly. I don't know if you know, I was on tour with, play tennis for a number of years. In France, last name is Lacoste. All right, Robert, we're going to advance on. And by the way, sartorially splendid, you are looking as well, my friend. Where are you shopping these days? Who are you wearing today, Bob? It's like the red carpet. You don't know. Okay.
I don't remember.
Armani, Calvin Klein, Hages Big and Tall. All right, Robert, hello. Thank you for taking the time to answer questions from the community. I am wondering what the plan to reduce the forever chemicals or PFAS chemicals in the water supply in Weymouth. A recent report detailed the following, and this is highlighted, Bob. To date, 170 water systems in the state have found PFAS levels over the legal limit. Almost all have found ways to mitigate PFAS contamination, either by adding filters, finding a new water supply, or blending the polluted water with another source. I'm curious if Weymouth is one of the systems that has been able to mitigate the contamination. What was done to mitigate, and what were the recommendations the city has to offer residents concerned about the levels of PFAS in the water? Thank you so much, Aaron Byrne. And there's a definition of what PFAS means, Bob, if you're not familiar with the...
I know what it means.
Okay, and I did not. That's a new one on me. So take it away.
The so-called forever chemicals.
Okay.
I can't give you the actual acronym, but it begins with a P, I remember
PFAS. PFAS.
Yes.
PFAS.
So one of the best things, probably the best thing, demonstrating great foresight that Dave Madden did, our first mayor after our charter change, was to move forward with a capital project, not so sexy, but very effective in the building of the new treatment plant at Great Pond. That plant gives the water department the ability to put filtering systems in that are able to address the PFAS issue. So we are, below a very below a safe level of PFAS. But it's a growing problem, and it's hard to predict what can happen in the future. It's in almost everything.
No kidding.
Plastic related.
I'm looking for them.
And you can think about that every time you throw a nip bottle or a beverage container that's plastic out the window. But
I'm going to stop right now.
it's a big problem. It's a big problem, and I don't even think that we have a handle on fully what the health effects are. So that's one of the reasons that, among many, that we've been looking at an MWRA tie-in with the fact that that Quabbin water is the highest quality drinking water in the country, actually. So that's another positive that we're weighing as we analyze this MWRA application that we're putting together.
Has it been officially determined we do have a PFAS problem in our water source? Because it doesn't specifically state this.
Not what's coming out of the pond after the filtration. I can't tell you what the levels are or have been, but we have a handle on it at the moment. But it's been a problem in some neighboring communities.
And that's what she's referencing, that it is an issue with public water supplies, but it's not in Weymouth specifically or particularly. Bob, this is not one of your least favorite things in my segues, but I drove down by where the dump building used to be, and the work down there looks phenomenal. That building's all down, and that's kind of around the water, the back river, on a lot of levels. We're very happy with everything going on down there, I presume.
Incinerators down. DPW is doing a great job coordinating and participating in finishing it off with a contractor. They actually had a schedule. I was actually down there. We talked last show about the folks that were down doing the cleanup along the back river, so I was down there on that day. Just to thank them, see the progress, and checked out the incinerator site, and that's almost done. So there'll be just a few additional parking spots there. There'll be an additional perimeter walking trail to the left, when you pull in and face the site where the incinerator was. But it'll just be open space, no heavy recreational use, just adding to the open space at Osprey Overlook and the Back River.
I think that's a massive success in the form of, I think everybody wants controlled development, but that was such a blighted area for, what, 50 years, 60 years? How long ago was that building?
Well, that thing was polluting. I mean, it was just giving off lead issues, pigeon guano, you name it, just a mess.
And even all the new apartments down there with that old factory building, the whole area looks like a mill.
That is coming out nice. I mean, it's a good repurpose. I mean, I know people have squawked about it, but I'll tell you what, if we went the other direction and kept it zoned industrial, and with what could have ended up there, I'm sure people would have been squawking about that too.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But I think it looks.
And it was a way to preserve the building. I mean, that's a little piece of history. Another industrial user could have come in and torn it down. There's no protections against tearing it down. I mean, we wanted to save the building. It's a big part of Weymouth history in preserving the old shoe factories.
The whole area looks great, no doubt about it. I'll stay on point with questions here.
By the way, just so people know if they're down there, people who might go down that site, the developer actually is supposed to make some additional improvements, landscaping, and some trail work on our property down there too. So we're waiting for that to get done also.
Bob, I am going to freewheel a little, get off topic, because our mutual friend
That's a surprise.
Hagen sent me a text from one of the Beacon Hill publications where the AG is sent out to all the communities that have.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we've been warned. Have you seen that article she sent out?
Well,
rezoning around the train tracks.
So our new Attorney General, Andrea Campbell, has sent out a threatening missive to
It was called
communities.
"They've Been Warned" was the headline of the article.
Yeah, so
meaning us.
the new MBTA housing law
There's rezoning.
that went through, and I hate to call out our legislators on this, but it went through the legislature with no debate and no roll call, and it dramatically takes away local control from communities.
Bull crap. I'm your advocate. Bull crap.
That are MBTA communities. And by the way, when we define MBTA communities, it's not just communities that host MBTA facilities, it's additional communities that are adjacent. And Marshfield is one of those that doesn't have direct MBTA service. They probably, I think their view was, when they first interpreted the law, that they weren't going to, they're going to pass up the grants in order not to have to comply. And the state tried to use coercion by saying, if you didn't comply, we'll take away this whole menu of state grant money from you and make you ineligible. The new Attorney General has put out this threatening missive that says you must comply regardless. So she's interpreting differently than we had interpreted it before. Now Weymouth, since we did our commercial corridor overlay, which has resulted in the redevelopment of certain sites like the Boston Motel that everyone wanted to get rid of, some ones down at Union Point, those are helping us to qualify in complying with the new law. So we were actually,
great.
We were actually ahead of it, and we don't like these state mandates. But it got us ahead of the curve on this. And yesterday, actually, I was at Mass Municipal Association, Mayor's Association meeting.
MMA.
And we got a little bit of a briefing on this, and it is a disaster. So the Attorney General may have made a mistake in putting that threatening, I'll call it a threatening press release out, because there's some problems with the law in definitions of what's affordable. I won't get into this. It's a quagmire now.
So the language is vague. A reasonable distance. There was words like that.
It's a disaster, okay? And now there's an interpretation that was given to Mass Municipal by a former attorney, in-house lawyer at DHCD, the housing department, that basically now says this is unenforceable. So this is going to have to get hashed out. Awesome. And it's just absurd. I mean, first of all, this has been a comedy of errors. You know, you got the legislature that I think failed by not having some debate and discussion on this.
It's a huge issue.
Then you got the Attorney General coming in and giving a sort of a different interpretation on this. And I don't know if that was a politically motivated thing to generate some press. You've been in office less than 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're throwing this
Rock
out there.
of the world.
It's a disaster, and you know, it's ineptness right now, I think.
So we talked about this, just to be clear, I don't know if they want to rezone all.
And they called Marshfield out by name. They mentioned, she singled out 4 communities. Marshfield was one of them, which is why I think that got the attention of your friend and former Weymouth resident.
No doubt, it was relocated down there. But to be clear, what they want, what the state is asking all the towns that are serviced by the MBTA, or if your citizens use the MBTA?
There's a formula that you have to. It takes away our local control on zoning, and that you must build. It's
multifamily.
What's amazing about this, and I'm going to quote a high-ranking person from Mass Municipal who is a liberal progressive, okay, who thinks this law is ridiculous and an intrusion, okay, and not well thought out, based on this mess now that you see.
Right.
So yes, there's a housing crisis, and this is a state reaction. But he said, it's the perfect storm where you now have progressives doing the bidding of well-off developers. Kind of ironic in that sense. And the result is taking control away from local communities. Yeah.
So they want to drop multifamily units for low-income people by all the train tracks, if you have tracks. Or
within a certain distance.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to have train tracks like Marshfield, for instance.
Yeah.
And it's MBTA communities now, she's saying, not just where commuter rail stations are. One other aspect of this that's amazing. So one of the reasons why we did the commercial overlay, when I ran for mayor, people complained that we didn't have retail options in this town, okay? And if you looked at our commercial corridors, what do you got? Nail salons, dog grooming shops, right? So the idea was give some incentive to combine parcels, to create spur redevelopment and generate some additional retail opportunities. They're lagging behind the housing construction, obviously, just because of the way the market is right now. But nonetheless, we're having some successes. And in fact, just yesterday, I was informed of an awesome tenant that's going into the new building in Columbian Square.
Oh, no.
Okay. So it's having.
Tell me more.
It's having well, it's food related, so you'll like it. But it's having a positive effect in that sense. And these fools at the state level, now they're telling us, as they promulgate these regulations on that new housing law, that you cannot have a retail component. I just don't get it.
And it's got,
so you're gonna put a whole new amount of density in some location,
housing development,
and you're going to preclude them from having a retail component to service the people that you're forcing that town to accept in living there.
And they're low income, so arguably they're not going to have vehicles, so they're going to need stuff that's close by, obviously.
Well, if I'm wrong on that, that's directly from the head of MMA yesterday.
Yeah. But the state is looking to rezone all the suburban bedroom communities with multifamily, low-income housing.
You're seeing more federal control on things like this, and you're seeing more state control.
Biden administration's hard on it to boot, no doubt.
Think about this. Population of Boston, 600,000. People complain about traffic, and we're 15 miles south. And here's my rant: there are people that complain about redevelopment in Weymouth, right? That are the same people that advocated for the restoration of the old Colony line, of which we host 2 of the 3 lines, and we have 3 commuter rail stations.
So what did you think was going to happen?
So you're 15 miles south, you want a commuter rail here. It isn't just for you to hop on and go shopping in Boston or go to a Red Sox game.
That train runs both ways?
This is what the state is using to bludgeon us. And I was not a supporter of Greenbush at the time. So there's that to consider in this. And think about this. For those of you that worry about density in metropolitan Boston, if we were in Houston, we would be downtown Houston right now. Based on the geographic size of Houston, we'd be downtown where we are here, right?
Kidding,
That's how big Houston is, right?
Wow.
Boston's a compact city.
It's the sprawl.
Mayor Wu has stated publicly that they have a target population of 800,000.
To grow Boston's population?
They want to grow Boston an additional 200,000 population from the 600. So
what?
What's that?
And where are they going to put them?
30% increase.
Oh, now we know where they're going to put them, obviously.
So I don't know, as one who has to go through Boston on occasion, how the infrastructure supports that. So you're going to see a major, major housing push in Boston. And I think what they're doing now by instituting the silly, it's a half-assed rent control proposal they sent to Beacon Hill. But on one hand, you're going to stifle developers, and the other hand, you're trying to create new housing. They want to create a huge number of new housing units with a target population of an additional 200,000 people.
That does not sound like good news. Well, I am glad I brought this up because it's important to all of us. Make no mistake about it. It's coming to your back door and all of us, and it's a challenge.
And
the language they use, they've been warned.
People don't know about the amount of proposals that come in here that we turn away, that we push away, that I don't even have in some cases, or Bob Luongo in some cases doesn't even have the right to push away.
Okay.
You know, I mean, some of the zoning some of the development that's going on right now is done under zoning. For instance, Ryder's project on Pleasant Street, that's 50-year-old zoning. I had no ability to stop that. The landing stuff, that's zoning that was done under Mayor Kay, and I happen to like the developments in the landing. What's the other project? Columbian Street right now. I mean, I don't know when that zoning's been there forever.
Well, how about the big one, the Elks, the redoing on the Elks package?
That's impacted by the overlay. So that the overlay has I think, I believe, I could be wrong on that one, but.
And the one passed it across from Fratelli's. The Elks, Eagles, Campbell.
No, that wasn't done. Well, that was a rezoning, and that's a thing of I'm not a fan of that project, but that was industrial land that was zoned there, so that wasn't part of the overlay.
Was that Bristol's land?
Not anymore. It's the Hanover companies.
Okay. There you go. Well, listen, lots going on, obviously, as we drive around town. Make no mistake about it. And the people are coming, for sure.
You can ask him questions about that with your other elitist friends when you're at the golf course in the country club with him.
We keep our pinkies out when we sip our martinis. I don't know if I told you that. It's the rule down there. As we crack open Bud Light cans. Yeah, it's high society. It's Weymouth high society. All right, well, listen, lots going on in town, as we all know, Bob. That was a great answer.
Does he drink Bud Light or Coors Light?
Yes. And he's a great guy to have a beverage with if you haven't had the opportunity. He's a good man. All right, listen, Robert, we're going to keep moving down the line. I'm glad I did ask about that because it's a huge issue that not everybody's very much aware of.
Well, when the legislature lets something slide through without any discussion, yeah, a lot of people aren't aware of it. Yeah.
All right, Robert, we're going to keep moving on here. And this is, since we're talking about all kinds of crap, how about this one? This is from Claudia Russo. Dear Mayor, is there any money to fund upgraded toilets at the Whipple Center? The former primary school still has toilets. I've used these too. The former primary school still has toilets that suit young children very low to the ground, not full-grown adults. Please help, Claudia Russo. I support this, Claudia. Yes, there's many toilets in the elementary school.
So, it's not on our capital improvement plan. I can start there.
Okay.
I kind of like, gives you a sense of history. I kind of like them in there.
Do you remember in your third grade when they sent you to the outhouse?
Put this in the category of what have you done for me tomorrow?
You can't win.
Let's see, what have we done at the senior center since I came to office?
Quite a bit, I know that, up for being through
another parking lot that looked like the Air Force strafed it with holes everywhere. We fixed and expanded that. We put a walking trail around the perimeter. We added pickleball courts.
Pagoda in the back?
We did that veranda, or the, what's the other word I want? Pergola, not pergola, no, gazebo. Okay. I mentioned pickleball courts.
Jeff Cummings.
New floor in the major room there. Room improvements. I think new televisions. The new entryway.
Our live studio, our singular off-location
I know I'm forgetting a couple things. Oh, most importantly, the roof, the air conditioning system.
Wow.
Remember what it was like the night of the mayoral debate in 2015? People went outside to watch through the open windows.
I lost 6 pounds that night.
I think some folks on the stage lost more than that. So a lot's been done there.
All right, well, get on those damn toilets there, Mayor Bob, for heaven's sake.
Well, I've heard someone else bring it up, but I don't know what the plan is for toilets there.
Bob,
they're functioning, let's put it that way.
To put you in the Wayback Machine, if I recall from that live episode that we shot down there, didn't you have a couple of romantic invitations?
Mayor Hedlund, I'm Judy Briggs. I have a personal question.
No, I'm busy Saturday night.
He's single. Coming your way from some of the audience members?
Yes. Back to the toilets for a minute, though. I mean, I want to just tell Claudia that, when I say I like them and everything, that's my perspective as a male. So I have not inspected the women's rooms, and I don't know how much of a problem it is from a female's perspective.
Hi, welcome to the Whipple Center. We're going to take a tour of the bathroom. Come on, this is the ladies' room. This is our senior center, women's bathroom. We currently have one sink out of commission. We have some plumbing issues. It's an old building. And these are our stalls. We have four stalls that are regular and one handicap. Two of those stalls are out of order. Again, it's the old building. We have very old plumbing. We have it on the capital improvement list, and the mayor has given it attention, and we can't wait for him to fix it. This is currently what the seniors have trouble with. We have low stalls, and if you can come on in, I'll show you. This is the stall, and I'm 5'10". This is how low they are to the ground. It's a primary school potty, so we need them fixed. Thank you.
Well, they're low to the ground, I think, no matter what age or gender you are coming from, for their kiddie size for sure. But put it on the list of things to do there. What have you done for me lately, Mr. Hedlund?
Plumbing work's expensive these days.
Yeah, you're not getting everything, yeah. As opposed to the cable bills and the electric bills, and yeah, it's big money these days. Hey, we want to remind everybody these questions are awesome. Please keep the questions coming to askmayorbob@gmail.com. The mayor appreciates them, I appreciate them, and we're going to ask you another one from our friend Tracy Brennan, who has been on the record for being
last show.
You know, we used to do in the old days a citizen of the show, and Tracy would probably win that prize for this.
She's got a long way to go to top Ed Hartnett.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But Tracy, keep these letters coming, because here's another good one. Bob, hello, Mayor Hedlund. Can we please get real secured trash barrels around the waterfront areas? Every time I drive by, the wind has blown the covers off the barrels and they're tipped over. That means all the trash has landed in the ocean. We owe the ocean extra concern and care. All the ocean's living creatures deserve the help. Thank you, Tracy. I know we've talked about barrels before, Bob, and trash blowing over.
One of the councilors brought this up recently, too. Okay. I think that maybe is a need to be addressed. That I don't know why those barrels blow over like they do, but I'm sure that DPW could find some heavier barrels that don't blow over in the wind. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I would say for sure.
So this is a fix.
Type of cover.
This is a fix that's much more inexpensive than new toilets at Whipple. So I think this one we can handle.
How about you take the toilets out of the Whipple, you put them on top of the lids on the toilets, and that's what we call win-win. And you need some outside consultants on the job.
Before I leave office, Jim. Maybe I should tell my toilet story from high school. Not today, but...
All right, we'll look forward to... Stay tuned. Was Ryder involved?
Like after an election, maybe, you know.
Robert, speaking of election hijinks, we are on one of the first days of spring, and St. Patrick's Day was just within the last few days, and the famous Situate St. Patrick's Day parade was coming down the street, which I'd like to attend.
I wanted to go.
Senator Patrick O'Connor was strolling down the road, as always, shaking hands with our buddy Jason there. You, in the past, have marched on that parade.
Absolutely.
That's a great event. So
you want to hear a very quick story about that?
Why wouldn't we? We've got the time.
My child was an infant, and he was with me that day. And we went to the breakfast first.
I didn't know they had a breakfast.
He was relatively well behaved, probably more behaved than he would be now. And I was in a difficult situation because I walk it, and there's no way he was going to walk the thing. And he was cold. It was cold. He was freezing.
Cold, yeah.
And he was whining. And I said, listen, we're just going to walk the first part of the parade and then loop back because, you know, the middle of it gets sparse and then it's busy again down Front Street. So we're walking, and he's doing great. And, you know, people are waving, he's waving, you know.
Awesome.
So
getting candy.
And then he started to fade a little bit. I put him up on my shoulders, and we kept going and going. We were sort of deep into it. I'm like, you know what, we got to finish it now. And the Grand Marshal was in front of me in the car, and it was Joe Norton, longtime selectman. And they were in a convertible. And it was him in the passenger seat, and I think his granddaughters or his nieces in the back. And they were probably like 12 years old or so, right? I said, hey, can I throw him in the car? He's falling asleep on me. And they go, yeah. So they'll watch him, right? So he's sitting up between the two girls up in the back of the convertible. And people are going, hey, Joe. And he's like waving, thinking they're yelling at him, you know? And it was great. He came back alive. He wasn't sleepy anymore. And he was engaged the whole way. And it was a riot to watch. And I'm walking behind them, so I'm getting a big kick out of it.
Like Princess
we
Di.
get to the end of the parade route, right? And the car goes, boom, and takes off. I guess Joe Norton said, come on, I'm freezing, let's get the heck out of here, step on it. And they take off, forgetting that my kid was in the back of the car.
Oh, that's phenomenal. And you haven't seen him in 7 years, I heard. Last time I was there, prior to this year, your good friend, Mr. Jay Kennedy, was just sitting on the sidelines. I walked up beside him, not even knowing it was Jay. I didn't really recognize him. And we're elbowing each other, so, he was a little tight, and we're like, hey, how the hell are you doing? But he was on the
He was in
property.
Florida.
This is a couple years ago, like I said, it wasn't this year. Yeah. And then, in fact, he knew the owner of the house right out front, and so we had access to toilets and beverages, and thank you, Jay
Should
Kennedy.
we see if we can get to these last two?
Yeah, why wouldn't we? All right, listen, Robert. Dear Mayor, as an avid walker of Webb State Park, I believe you're in that group too. As an avid walker of Webb State Park,
It's not my first choice.
I've noticed that the tip of the park is suffering from significant erosion. Is the town aware of this? And if so, are you doing anything about it?
Not a thing, baby. We're letting Mother Nature. We're letting Mother Nature do its thing.
So you don't try to manage things like that, huh?
Well, the state owns it.
Yeah, oh, okay.
I mean, it's inevitable.
And what can you do?
What are you going to do? I mean, a major fix. We are doing some major work on town-owned embankment that is suffering from a little bit of erosion, but more so from invasive species too, with the Beach Connection Coastal Embankment Stabilization Project. So that's a major project. I mean, that is almost as complicated and as expensive as the Columbian Square project. And both of those are going on now.
Holy smokes.
So
North Weymouth getting taken care of, South Weymouth getting taken care of. 02189
you know how many
is going to be
times-
knocking on your
I
door.
wish I had a nickel for every time I heard, South Weymouth got all the money.
Is that right? Tell them to ride our roads. Aside from Union Street, North Weymouth's gotten all their roads paved.
Guy yelling at me last year, I think we did $8 million in paving last year, and a local complainer in North Weymouth. I get a kick out of him. I like the guy. But he was saying South Weymouth got all the paving money, and I'm like,
Kidding me?
I know where he lives, and I'm like, I
Green
know the
Street?
streets we paved.
Yeah.
I said, do me a favor and take a 5-minute walk in a circumference around your house. I said, I think of the paving that year, like somewhere between probably 4.5 to 6 of the 8. No, actually, probably like 5 to 6 of the 8 was done in North Weymouth.
It looks great.
Every
road
depends
looks
where you define North Weymouth a little bit, But then
Michelle
so
Wu
then,
says it's part
so
of
when I
Boston.
said that, he said, well, maybe, but the last storm, you sent all the bucket trucks to South Weymouth.
We'll trade them the bucket trucks for the tar trucks every day of the week, tell them at the end of the day. And as I've said a million times, and I don't think anybody
He
will
watches the show
disagree.
too. I know I'm going to hear from this now.
Well, as he knows, whenever those roads get paved, you feel like you're living in a new town. You feel like you got a new house. I mean,
Here
the
we
road
go,
being
the
paved is a
Union
big
Street
deal.
rant again.
Well,
Go ahead.
And a positive one, our fearless mayor.
I'm out of water, and you got one more question.
All
Let's
right,
roll.
listen, well, Robert, we want to remind everybody, as always, to keep the questions coming to askmayorbob@gmail.com. Bob, this will be probably the last question that we have, and it's not on the paper, but it's certainly been top of mind for anybody who has students.
What do you mean it's not on the paper?
Well, we already read the paper. This one. This was the PFAS. Can you talk about the Weymouth teachers contract? Because I know it's been quite a battle, and it looks like they have something in front of them that they
Yeah,
like.
so as of the taping of this, and if this runs and lags, we're taping, can I say the date?
Well, that's from California to
May
every
23.
town is
So if
having
this thing
issues.
shows up around the 4th of July, blame Jeff.
Okay.
And we don't mind less editing and more speed.
You get
on
an
this
F
one,
from the
because
teachers.
there's timely stuff here. So teachers' contracts been lagging. The way the town works is the mayor's office has control over all the other bargaining units, but not the school-related bargaining units.
Oh, no kidding.
That's handled by the school committee and school department. Things have been lagging, frustrating for everybody, frustrating for the membership, I'm sure, of the teachers union, Weymouth Education
still doesn't have a
Association, and certainly frustrating for parents and frustrating for us and school department and committee. The last bargaining session, and the town had highest and best on the table already. But prior to the last bargaining session, mediation session, Chief of Staff Langell, who handles all of the bargaining unit negotiations on the town side, got together over the weekend, spent a considerable amount of time with Brian Smith, Assistant Superintendent, who is their budget guy, if you will.
Real good man.
And yes, they sort of reworked things a little bit, came up with a new proposal that they put in front of The teachers union, I believe there were like 35 teachers present for that session, observing. Ted put a spreadsheet together, indicating what it meant for all of the teachers in the town by name. Just to demonstrate what it really meant in real terms. The teachers that were there liked what they saw. The mood, I think, changed significantly, and they came to an agreement. It has not been ratified by the general membership as of this taping, so hopefully that goes all right, and that's behind us.
But everybody's feeling good about it going into this.
Well, the process is tough, and MTA has taken a very, I've heard the word militant used. I'd try to soften it a little bit, but aggressive would be a good one. And they've threatened strikes in a number of towns. That MMA Mayor's Association meeting I was at yesterday was a topic of discussion, and the mayor of Woburn spoke because they did strike. They were on strike one day, I think, before they get settled. But we're not the only community facing this aggressive stance that MTA is encouraging their local units to engage in. I mean, they were threatening a strike in Quincy and Braintree and Weymouth. And as you know, teachers cannot strike by law. And they are fined if they do.
No kidding.
The union's fined, and they have a bill floating around in Beacon Hill that would allow them to strike. And some suspect that the end game of that is to compromise and get a binding arbitration bill through. Michigan and one other state did that, and Michigan actually legalized strikes, and the number was staggering on how strikes increased in that state. But I think that, I would agree with the concept that some believe that the MTA strategy would be to get a binding arbitration bill through the legislature, as opposed to, the strike, legalizing the strike, which they have legislation to do now.
All right. Well, we don't have that, fortunately.
I wish I had the numbers on Michigan because it was mind-blowing.
When they could, they did.
Once the bill went in, the number of strikes that actually occurred just was a staggering number.
Well, listen, speaking of strike, we need to get this episode in the books, Bob. So thank you very much, as always, for the time and the great answers to a lot of these questions. Please keep the questions coming to askmayorbob@gmail.com. And in lieu of our final question, stay tuned for, I know we've done room 222. Have we done Welcome Back, Carter?
We have done that, yeah.
Okay. Then any other school shows coming to mind?
Ask the manager.
Ask the manager. Dun, dun, dun.
If you have a question, please email the mayor at askmayorbob@gmail.com. That's askmayorbob@gmail.com. Maybe your question will be answered on the next episode of Ask the Mayor.